So before I start my speech, I just wanted to show my notes to show that I'm not reading off minutes or anything. Imagine driving to class after being awake for 24 hours. Research shows that after being awake that long, your reaction time is similar to that of someone who is legally intoxicated. My name is Al-Soudi, and today I'll be informing you all on the importance of sleep and its effect on our health. I feel like I'm credible to speak on this topic because, like most college students, I've had many nights where I barely slept, only to wake up the next morning feeling foggy and disoriented. And so as I kept on waking up, feeling worse and worse each morning, I ended up reading some studies so that I could find a remedy or an easy fix to have more energy throughout the day. And so I started getting really invested in the science behind sleep and started watching a ton of YouTube videos, with some being around an hour long, and reading a bunch of medical journals all about the importance of sleep and what happens to our brain and our body when we don't get enough. Also, as a biology major, I really enjoy learning about the science behind some of the things that we do every day. I feel like this topic is relevant to all of us because many of us stay up late, whether studying, doing homework, or just having fun, without realizing the effect that it has on our health. So I'll first start today by defining what is sleep, then what happens to our brains when we sleep, and finally the negative effects of not getting enough sleep. So starting with my first main point, what is sleep? According to the Encyclopedia Britannica, one of the world's most established reference encyclopedias, sleep is a recurrent state of reduced responsiveness to external stimuli that is accompanied by complex changes in physiology. And so what this really means in simple terms is that when we sleep, our brains and our body are temporarily disconnecting from the outside world. When you're asleep, you're not responding normally to light, sounds, or movement. You're not fully conscious in the way that you are right now, and your reactions to the things around you are much slower. But this doesn't mean that your body is simply shutting off. Even though we're just lying still with our eyes closed, our brains are still very active. For example, when we sleep, our brains cause our heart rate to change, our breathing to become more normal, and our muscles to relax. Body temperature drops slightly as well. Sleep also isn't just one single stage. Throughout the night, our brains and our body move through different stages of sleep. Some stages are lighter, where we can wake more easily. Others are much deeper, where it takes a lot more to wake us. There is also a stage called rapid eye movement sleep, or REM sleep, where brain activity increases and most dreaming takes place. This graph shows a mapping of sleep stages. The deeper the line, the deeper the sleep, and the higher the line, the lighter the sleep. And so as you can see, most deep sleep is primarily in the earlier hours, and as you get closer towards the morning, sleep gets shallower. This is because you want to be able to wake up easily and more naturally in the mornings. So when thinking about sleep, I think it's best to think of it as a natural biological cycle that our bodies go through every day. Sleep is just a temporary shift in consciousness that causes physical and neurological changes. So now that I've defined sleep, I'll move on to my next main point. What sleep does to our brains. According to the Harvard Medical School, a leading institute in medicine and research, sleep is critical for proper brain function and is involved in helping memory, learning, and decision making. I like to think of sleep as the brain's nightly cleaning and organizing session. When we rest, our brains sort through all the information that we took in that day. It decides what's important to remember and what to throw out. This is why sleep is essential for memory and learning, because without it, it's much harder to recall information we learned or studied earlier in the day. Sleep also helps the brain remove waste that builds up while we're awake. Try and picture tiny garbage trucks moving in the brain that remove toxins and keep it healthy. When we skip sleep, these toxins stick around, making it harder to focus and think clearly the next day. Sleep helps regulate our moods as well. When we don't get enough sleep, our brains struggle to properly manage emotions, which is why we often feel more irritable, stressed, and anxious after a long night. Sleep is essential in keeping our brains efficient, sharp, and clean. So I will now move on to my final point and explain the negative effects of not getting enough sleep. According to research done by the National Library of Medicine, our nation's medical research database, sleep deprivation can have several effects on our health. Research shows that a lack of sleep can worsen focus, attention, and memory, making it harder to remember information. It's much harder to learn new things and make good decisions when sleep deprived. Not getting enough sleep has physical consequences too. Over time, insufficient sleep can weaken our immune systems, making it harder for the body to fight off illness and recover from injury. Some studies associate insufficient sleep with an increased risk of heart disease, diabetes, and even cancer. Also, because the brain can't clear out toxins when we don't sleep, it can lead to cognitive decline over time. This is why a lack of sleep is often associated with an increased risk of neurological disorders like Alzheimer's as well. This chart over here shows other negative side effects, and it shows that not getting enough sleep can infect our lungs, our pancreas, our colon, and our guts, as well as our muscles. This just shows how essential sleep is in keeping our bodies healthy. So, to summarize what I said today, sleep is a state that helps our bodies rest and reset. Sleep helps our brain function properly, and when we don't get enough sleep, it can negatively impact our health and our well-being. So before I end today, I just wanted to return to the statistic at the beginning that after being awake for 24 hours, your reaction time is similar to that of someone who is legally intoxicated. Just remember the next time that you stay up late that sleep is essential and that your brain is not functioning as well as it could, so just be careful. Once again, my name is Al-Soudi, and thank you all for listening.